HOSPITA on the Immoderate Indulgence of the Pleasures of the Palate, by Charles Lamb. 1811, text of 1818. To the editor of The Reflector. Mr. Reflector, my husband and I are fond of company, and being in easy circumstances, we are seldom without a party to dinner 2 or 3 days in a week. The utmost cordiality has hitherto prevailed at our meetings, but there is a young gentleman, a near relation of my husband's, that has lately come among us, whose preposterous behavior bids fair, if not timely checked, to disturb our tranquillity. He is too great a favorite with my husband in other respects, for me to remonstrate with him in any other than this distant way. A letter printed in your publication may catch his eye, for he is a great reader, and makes a point of seeing all the new things that come out. Indeed, he is by no means deficient in understanding. My husband says that he has a good deal of wit, but for my part, I cannot say I am any judge of that, having seldom observed him open his mouth except for purposes very foreign to conversation. In short, sir, this young gentleman's failing is an immoderate indulgence of his palate. The first time he dined with us, he thought it necessary to extenuate the length of time he kept the dinner on the table, by declaring that he had taken a very long walk in the morning, and came in fasting. But as that excuse could not serve above once or twice at most, he has latterly dropped the mask altogether, and chosen to appear in his own proper colors without reserve or apology. You cannot imagine how unpleasant his conduct has become. His way of staring at the dishes as they are brought in has absolutely something immodest in it. It is like the stare of an impudent man of fashion at a fine woman when she first comes into a room. I am positively in pain for the dishes, and cannot help thinking they have consciousness, and will be put out of countenance. He treats them so like what they are not. Pg 146. Then again he makes no scruple of keeping a joint of meat on the table, after the cheese and fruit are brought in, till he has what he calls done with it. Now how awkward this looks, where there are ladies. You may judge, Mr. Reflector, how it disturbs the order and comfort of a meal. And yet I always make a point of helping him first, contrary to all good manners, before any of my female friends are helped, that he may avoid this very error. I wish he would eat before he comes out. What makes his proceedings more particularly offensive at our house is, that my husband, though out of common politeness, he is obliged to set dishes of animal food before his visitors, yet himself and his whole family, myself included, feed entirely on vegetables. We have a theory that animal food is neither wholesome nor natural to man, and even vegetables we refuse to eat until they have undergone the operation of fire, in consideration of those numberless little living creatures, which the glass helps us to detect in every fiber of the plant or root before it be dressed. On the same theory we boil our water, which is our only drink, before we suffer it to come to table. Our children are perfect little Pythagoreans. It would do you good to see them in their nursery, stuffing their dried fruits, figs, raisins, and milk, which is the only approach to animal food which is allowed. They have no notion how the substance of a creature that ever had life can become food for another creature. A beefsteak is an absurdity to them, a mutton chop, a solecism in terms, a cutlet, a word absolutely without any meaning. A butcher is nonsense, except so far as it is taken for a man who delights in blood, or a hero. In this happy state of innocence we have kept their minds, not allowing them to go into the kitchen, or to hear of any preparations for the dressing of animal food, or even to know that such things are practiced. But as a state of ignorance is incompatible with a certain age, and as my eldest girl, who is 10 years old next midsummer, must shortly be introduced into the world and sit at table with us, where she will see some things which will shock all her received notions, I have been endeavoring by little and little to break her mind, and prepare it for the disagreeable impressions which must be forced upon it. The first hint I gave her upon the subject, I could see her recoil from it with the same horror with which we PG 147 listen to a tale of anthropophagism, but she has gradually grown more reconciled to it in some measure, from my telling her that it was the custom of the world, to which, however senseless, we must submit so far as we could do it with innocence, not to give offense, and she has shewn so much strength of mind on other occasions, which I have no doubt is owing to the calmness and serenity superinduced by her diet, that I am in good hopes, when the proper season for her debut arrives, she may be brought to endure the sight of a roasted chicken or a dish of sweatbreads, for the first time without fainting. Such being the nature of our little household, you may guess what inroads into the economy of it, what revolutions and turnings of things upside down, the example of such a feeder as Mr. is calculated to produce. I wonder at a time like the present, when the scarcity of every kind of food is so painfully acknowledged, that shame has no effect upon him. Can he have read Mr. Malthus's thoughts on the ratio of food to population? Can he think it reasonable that one man should consume the sustenance of many? The young gentleman has an agreeable air and person, such as are not unlikely to recommend him on the score of matrimony. But his fortune is not over large, and what prudent young woman would think of embarking hers with a man who would bring 3 or 4 mouths, or what is equivalent to them, into a family? She might as reasonably choose a widower in the same circumstances with 3 or 4 children. I cannot think who he takes after. His father and mother, by all accounts, were very moderate eaters, only I have heard that the latter swallowed her victuals very fast, and the former had a tedious custom of sitting long at his meals. Perhaps he takes after both. I wish you would turn this in your thoughts, Mr. Reflector, and give us your ideas on the subject of excessive eating, and particularly of animal food. HOSPITA. pg 148.